Welcome back, everybody, to the 2 p.m. Sales Espresso webinar. Good to be back. We had a few, or I shouldn't say a few, a couple of weeks off there. Had some scheduling issues, that kind of thing. But you know what? We're back, baby. Okay, so today we're going to talk a little bit about building trust. But before I do that, I think it's important that we remember that the guy talking is the guy there in the picture. Okay. If I am not connected with you, as always, please scan the QR code. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram. You can shoot me a text, whatever you want to do. I don't care. Just connect with me somehow so we can keep this conversation going. And if it's your first time attending 2 p.m. Sales Espresso, this is how it works. We take a sales topic, we cover it in 15 minutes or less. And you walk away with some actionable takeaways that we are always going to strive to give you so you can start improving your sales day immediately. All right. So, like I said, we're going to talk a little bit about building trust. Now, this is something that we could spend eons talking about. It's something that salespeople spend their lifetime trying to achieve, and it's going to be hard to cover this in the time allotted. But you know what? I've managed to do it. So, let's talk about some trust. Trust is the foundation of a referral business. And I take this referral spin on here because it is the real it's the real benefit to high trust selling. Um, Everybody on this call who's an LO or frankly who's in sales has all heard the phrase become the trusted advisor. I hate that phrase, by the way, but um, trusted is in it. It's in the title. So obviously it's important. How do we do that? Well, before I go into some ways to focus on and improve the trust, let's talk about this a little bit. Trust first and foremost drives referrals. If we think about this, who's going to send you business if they don't trust you? All right. So while we use the referral base as a measuring stick for your overall business, that also in turn measures how much trust you've got. Because no one's going to send somebody a referral to you if they don't trust you, right? I mean, let's just be honest. That's not happening. It also generates repeat clients. Everyone's goal should be to try and become, right, their loan officer for life. We've all heard that before too. Well, if you've had repeat clients, that means you got high trust selling. If you don't have a lot of repeat clients, then that could be something that we need to look at. Also creates stronger partnerships. We simply cannot get the most out of a referral partnership or any other type of arrangement unless there's trust involved, because trust is gonna allow you to open up. It's going to allow you to for the other party to open up. They're going to feel heard, understood. They're more likely to reveal what's really important to them, what could be really bothering them, and all that's driven by trust and faster decisions. This is actually something that I think a lot of salespeople, and particularly LOs, don't understand is that when you are trusted, all of a sudden, a lot of those other objections, they get thrown out the door. A lot of those other concerns, they get pushed aside because trust will buy you a lot of leeway because the person simply, they feel like they can trust you with their biggest financial decision in their lives, right? So it leads to faster decisions and also fewer surprises. How is that? Well, again, like I mentioned a minute ago, we got to remember that trust helps bring out and reveal all that's really important. And if we get all that information up front, you have fewer surprises. Now, if you're on this call today and we've worked together before in trainings or whatever else, you're going to recognize the fewer surprises thing because I always harp on this about asking a lot of questions, right? And that's another way that we do that. But also asking those questions builds trust with every single question you ask because it lets the other person feel seen and understood. All right, so let's go into some trust builders. Trust builder number one, set expectations early. As we all know, the mortgage process is a very front end heavy assembly line, and we need to set expectations for the various steps milestones and events as early as possible. The same thing goes with referral partners. Okay. If we set up the expectations of what's going to happen, why are we having this meeting? Where's it going? What are we even doing? Then you're going to start building trust immediately. So, discussing things like communication style, their timeline expectations, what each party does best. Now that's of course really more driven towards referral partners, but the first two are true for both referral partners and borrowers. And how problems will be handled. How are you going to do it? What's good? Things come up. How are we going to address those concerns? Um, and that makes the whole process a lot smoother and also gets them a lot more comfortable with you. And guess what? Comfort equals trust as it grows and grows and grows. So all right. So setting expectations early. Number two, keeping everyone in the loop. Now, this is another one that gets kind of beaten to death, right? Oh, guys, just want to keep in the loop, just calling to check in, which, of course, as y'all know, is one of my least favorite phrases. But keeping everyone in the loop, transparency really does build confidence, and confidence in turn will help build trust. Letting folks know what's going on instead of acting like, you're the Wizard of Oz and the man behind the curtain thing. That's just not the way that people do business anymore. They don't expect that. They don't want that. And in order to build trust, you're going to have to be more transparent. So, in other words, proactively share updates on how your loan's progressing. If something comes up in underwriting, hey, don't try and cover your ass. All right. Be honest about it. If there are potential issues, this goes back to number one, setting expectations. It's okay to tell the borrowers up front, hey, look, this is a potential challenge that we may have. I'm telling you about this now, not because it is a problem, but because it could come up. And we will know if it's an issue for us to deal with by X date. All right. So that positions you, and not only in a frame of expertise, but also trust and competence. Timeline changes. Timeline changes. This is a big one, and this is why I teach the loan roadmap method a lot in order to keep everyone in the loop, as it were. So timeline changes. Uh, that says, hey, if X doesn't happen by this date, then Y and Z will have to be pushed back as well. And being transparent about that, not fingers crossed, hoping somebody gets something done early, right? And we've all done that, I think, before as an LO, been like, okay, this didn't happen on time. I think I'll be okay. I'm not going to make a big deal of it because because they could get nervous or whatever else. I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed. It may work out, but it may not. And in the meantime, your anxiety is building up. They don't know what's going on, and it's just not a recipe for success, there, guys. All right, trust builder number three. Share credit generously. Nobody likes someone who hogs all the spotlight. All right. Recognize the people who make success possible. And this is really true whether you're dealing with a borrower or a referral partner or your own team. All right. Because guess what, guys? Borrowers trust you, but if your own team doesn't trust you, man, that's going to be tough. Too tough to get loans done. All right. Thank your referral partners publicly. If you've done a lot of business with a realtor, a particular title company, closing attorney, whatever the case is, give them some credit, because that's not as commonplace as people think. Doing your job and doing your job well are two different things, and we have to remember that. Acknowledge the client's effort. Hey, you know what? It's okay to sing their praises at the closing table, in front of the realtors, the closing agent, whatever. Say, hey, you know what? We we had a lot of work to do. I couldn't have done it without y'all helping me out as much as I helped you out. Thank you so much. It allowed me to get this done for you. All right, do that, and of course, celebrate your team after closing. Without the processors, the closers, underwriters, everybody, there's just no way that we can get done what we need to get done, right? And so celebrating them, giving them, credit, is really important, even if it's just something as simple as a quick email. Hey, Smith, the Smith file closed. Really appreciate y'all's work. They were super happy about it, and let them know that you told the customer about them. So, hey, I was sure to tell them that this was a team effort on our end to make this happen for you. I know y'all are super excited. We couldn't have done it without them as well. And that's going to really go a long way. All right. Trust builder number four. Address problems directly. Okay. This is a big one because you will always build more trust when the shit hits the fan than when things go super smooth. If you handle it the right way. I can tell you probably off the top of my head at least six or seven or maybe even eight examples of when I was an LO or an AE and we had something come up and I addressed it directly. And guess what? It worked out better. I can unfortunately also think of some instances in my earlier days when I did not address problems directly and, learned the hard way. So trust is built when things sorry, excuse me, trust is not built when things go perfectly. Just like I said, when stuff goes awry, that is opportunities to build trust. Trust is built, when things go wrong, they get off schedule, they get off the rails. When things come up, you communicate it immediately. All right. You're honest about the situation. And that means you are, in some cases, brutally honest. However, you're going to focus on solutions and not on the blame. That's huge because nothing will deteriorate trust in you than you passing the buck, or even if you had nothing to do with it and you're just the delivery man for the message, still saying, "Yeah, I'm sorry, Brandon. So and so they really screwed this one up, didn't they?" It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whose fault it was. We've got to focus on solutions. Something went wrong with a loan. This is probably, I don't know, maybe 3, 4 years ago. And I was, of course, I got the call from the customer. Something happened with the closing. I can't remember what the exact problem was now at this point. But anyway, customer was upset. Well, I looked at my calendar and I said, okay, I don't have anything tomorrow. I'm working from home. So I drove to their office, to that bank, and I showed up and I was like, hey, look. I'm here. I want to discuss what happened. I want to come to a solution because y'all's relationship with me means a lot. I know that I personally didn't do anything, but you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm going to make it right. And I remember he said, "Man, you got a lot of guts showing up here today. I really wouldn't have imagined that you do that. I appreciate it." So showing up and addressing problems directly is always a quick way to build trust. All right. So, a common misunderstanding. We got 3 minutes left. Misunderstanding about trust. Trust does not mean avoiding difficult conversations. Difficult conversations are huge. If y'all know anything about me, you know I like conflict. I think I actually shared something on my Instagram story today about conflict. I am not a fan of avoiding difficult conversations or avoiding conflict because I think that's how we grow. We grow from having that. You have honest conversations. That doesn't mean you get to be a turd to everybody, right? You have honest conversations, though. And great partnerships are going to allow for candor, disagreement, constructive feedback. Notes. Now, I'll say this if you aren't comfortable with any of those, is the blame on the other person because they haven't made you feel comfortable, like you can be frank with them or that you can have a disagreement? Partially, but kind of like everything else, it's a partnership, right? Y'all both got to sit down and figure out why that is because you're not going to be able to grow and get the most out of that relationship until you can have difficult conversations. All right. Trust must be measured. This is it as we draw to a close. So ask yourself regularly, are partners sending you repeat business? Do your clients refer friends and family? And this is a big one. Do partners call you first when they have a deal or even have a question? Have you captured that mind share enough to say, hey, if we've got something that comes up that has anything to do with mortgage, I trust that if I call up Skip, he's going to at least be able to give me direction. May not have the answer, but he can help me in some way. So those are the real trust indicators, guys. And so again, for trust builders, expectations, communicate transparently, share credit generously, and address problems honestly. You focus on those four, you will automatically start to build trust. Look at those, see which one that you need to work on the most. If If you have questions on any of these, let me know. But one final thought, just like old Jerry Springer show, we got Jerry's final thought here. People do business with professionals that they trust. Yeah, with folks that they know, like, and trust, right? But they refer business to professionals who protect their reputation because when they send you somebody, it's their butt on the line too. All right. Thank you guys. It's 2:15 on the dot. Great seeing y'all back here again. Next week we'll be back on. If I'm not connected with you, scan the QR code. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.